Hey to my Ko-fi gang. I'm so excited to be here for you to extend the reading of the full moon in Libra. So I haven't used this deck in a really long time, but this is the Moonology Oracle deck. I felt really called to use this. So this week we're going to pull 2 cards from here, and I grabbed another deck that I have not used in quite some time, the Vintage Wisdom Oracle. So let's look at these 2 moon cards. Whoa. All right. Let's see what we need to hear. A time for healing. A time for healing, the balsamic moon. Okay. So I love this imagery here because sometimes when we're about to embark on a healing journey, it really feels like we're at like the last few shreds of ourselves and we're coming up for air and we're finally able to breathe. But it takes these phases, it takes time to get from this little sliver of light to this full capacity brightness that is the full moon. And obviously, if you tuned into the longer reading for the collective, there are many people who did some preparation for this full moon and already started to get rid of a lot of stuff. And so now one of the cards was the Devil card. And for some people, I said, y'all have to have fun. And so for those of you who are on the other side of having cut out some things, cut out some people, embarked on a new journey, there's a need for breathing, a time for healing is very supported right now. The fact that this card came up is letting you know, like, it is a safe time. Your soul family, your guides, your ancestors are there. So this is a really great time for prayers, to just speak out loud. You don't have to do the sign of the cross or speak to God or do anything that makes you feel uncomfortable, but just know that there are energies and there are guides around you that give you subtle signs, that speak to you in a loving, nurturing way. And this is their way of saying, like, lean back spiritually, energetically, emotionally. It's a trust fall and we're here to catch you, essentially. I really felt that in my gut right now when I said that. This card came up specifically to let y'all know that you can allow yourself to fall back a little bit, because healing is in the mix. It's in the stars, it's in the universe, it's in your energy, it's in your aura. This is around you right now, and it's letting you know, your guides are letting you know that it's a safe time to do so. Okay. Second one, a personal issue reaches resolution, full moon in Cancer. Okay. So remember, we're in the full moon in Libra. It doesn't mean that just because we're a full moon in Libra, this doesn't mean anything, but this prompt is very much in line with Cancer. But what it is telling us here is it's relationships. Relationships and Libra are one and the same. So there is a conflict with your relationship with yourself or your relationship with another that is going to get resolved. But again, I cannot reiterate this more for those of you who avoid conflict and just let that kind of fester and calcify and create scar tissue over you and your experience. Don't avoid the conflict because you're also avoiding a resolution. I'm going to repeat that. Do not avoid the conflict because you're also avoiding the resolution or the solution to this conflict or this problem. So don't let these things linger on anymore. It requires your energy and attention to be present. So if you're not present, the conflict or the issue cannot get resolved. You need to be an active participant in this so that the energies know exactly where to flow. You have to kind of guide it. You can't just kind of throw your hands up and hope for the best and be like, I think I've done enough. I've reached my limit. You figure it out. You let me know when you've gotten there. Like, no, there's still some energy that's required from a certain amount of people. This is why a lot of discernment when it comes to these readings is very necessary, because some people really need to just cut shit out. And some of y'all need to guide and create space for relief, create space for a conversation, create space for an understanding. Okay. In this time right now of like toxic this and triggered that and gaslight this and cut out that, like, A lot of these words are being repeated because now we're finally starting to understand a sense of agency when it comes to our emotions and our psychology and our upbringing. But on the other side, it is not safe for you. It is not wise to just cut everything out that makes you feel uncomfortable. Things have to come up to us and come to our attention for a reason so that we can unearth why it triggers us, why it makes us feel a certain way. And so if we just say, oh, that made me feel awful, so that person's clearly toxic, and cut. All right. You have to know when you've really given your absolute all to a situation. You have found compassion. You've carved out space to try to understand, to find that balance, what Libra asks us to do. If you've done that and then there's still a sense of heaviness, of soul-sucking energy, of no reciprocity, that's when you cut it out. But some of y'all need to still finesse some space and energy to resolve issues, because we're not completely 0% at fault. And this is something that kind of worries me a little bit about society these days, is that you can be wrong about something and it could also not have been something that was intentional. And you have to learn from that experience and learn that maybe your response and reaction to that situation is not your fault because of your upbringing or because of the patterns that you have and the conditioning that you have. But it doesn't mean that those actions and those conditioning hasn't affected somebody, right? And so we have to learn where to take responsibility and also where to relinquish responsibility and say, hey, I've done enough. I think I've done enough, right? So try to understand with so much compassion. There's no judgment here. This is all being relayed to you with the utmost amount of love, but try to take this reading and understand which camp you fall under, okay? Because depending on which camp you fall under, there still might be some learning to be done on your end. So just one card here from a deck I haven't used in forever. Vintage Wisdom Oracle. Listening. Well, I can't see. Okay, there we go. Listening. A very Florence and the Machine, but meets Snow White kind of energy. But it's almost as though you can hear a pin drop just looking at this card. You can hear the wind. You can hear the birds. You can hear their wings flapping. This is just a time to listen and understand what your wants and your needs are, because once you become very, very intimate with that internal voice, if you listen internally to the types of wants and needs that need to be met, then we go back to the first reading with the moon. Shine light on that. Give attention and energy to that, because that's your truth. But if you don't listen and you don't give space for that internal voice to be heard, how can you know what you want? How can you know what you need? What are your dreams? What do you strive for? What is your intention? What are your goals? If you don't know the answer to these things, you have no idea how to be there for yourself. And if you don't know the answer to those things and you don't know how to be there for yourself, the relationships in your life that are upheld by this energy of Libra are going to crumble, because if you don't even know what to ask for and how to ask for it, how can anyone else? All right. So it is a time for healing. Land into that softness. Some of y'all, a personal issue reaches a resolution. Okay. And if you need resolution, maybe be the captain. Guide the ship towards that resolution. Add a little bit more energy to it. I know you might be tired, but don't avoid it, because once you get there, relief. And our last one is listening. Listen to that internal voice, dig deep, create that intimacy with your intuition, and know that I'm here twice a month to harness all of that lunar energy, put it into the cards, and let y'all know what it is that you need. Okay? So much love. Can't wait to be there for you next new moon. And have a beautiful one. Mwah. Ciao.